of a life-changing fundamental right. Whether birthing people have access to abortion now is up to the states. This, for me, is terrifying. In the past year, multiple states have ramped up their anti-abortion efforts and passed laws targeting our constitutional right to an abortion. Last year alone, 108 abortion restrictions were enacted in 19 states. This includes Texas, where their most recent anti-abortion law encourages private citizens to act as bounty hunters, to seek out and sue those who have provided any form of support to people seeking an abortion, including their doctor, their nurse, a friend who talked to them about whether to get an abortion, even their Uber driver. States are continuing to follow Texas's lead. Just this past month, Oklahoma's governor signed a law that outright bans abortion and leaves enforcement up to the private citizens via civil suits. It is essential now more than ever that we improve abortion access and strengthen privacy protections for those seeking sensitive services. People are already and will come and continue to come to California to seek reproductive health care. However, we worry that out-of-state private citizens and actors will demand the medical records of those who seek care to punish them for exercising their fundamental rights here in California. No one should be able to manipulate California's legal system to target and punish people who seek care and refuge here. AB 2091 will ensure out-of-state subpoenas, which seek information related to a patient who received reproductive health care here in California, are not granted. By doing this, California will protect the medical privacy of those patients who may be targeted by hostile laws in other states. AB 2191 also ensures that the Department of Insurance can enforce violations of the release of medical records related to sensitive services. AB 2091 continues the legislature's work of protecting privacy and confidentiality of LGBTQ+ people and their medical information. The LGBTQ+ community is directly impacted by laws that undermine abortion care, which compound long-standing barriers to inclusive care and exacerbate negative health disparities. California must proactively protect the confidentiality of medical records of everyone, as we see states around the country paving the way to use those records to enforce their own state's anti-abortion laws. Thank you, and as witness with me today, I have Lisa Matsubara with Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California, a co-sponsor of this bill.
Okay, welcome. 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Dr. Pan and members of the committee. I'm Lisa Matsubara from Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California, representing the 7 affiliates in the state operating over 100 health centers. Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, taking away the constitutional protections to the right to abortion for millions of people across this country. As of this morning, abortion is banned in 7 states, down from 9 earlier this week, thanks to the work of my colleagues and advocates fighting to block trigger bans in Louisiana and Utah, and allowing abortion to resume in those states for now. We expect bans to go into effect in more states over the next few weeks. Without the protections under Roe, anti-abortion legislators are now free to enact harmful and dangerous laws targeting abortion providers and pregnant people that would target not just the providers, but patients and people, helping patients access care, not just in their home states, but if they seek care in other states like California. I'm devastated about the impact of the court's decision is having on people who no longer have the ability to exercise their basic human rights to make healthcare decisions that are best for them, their families, and their circumstances. These bans deny people timely access to care and will disproportionately harm people who are facing systemic barriers in the health system and force people to flee their home states to get the care they need and deserve. These bans also create confusion and a culture of fear that make it difficult for providers and people to provide or seek care. For Planned Parenthood, protecting patient confidentiality is at the core of the services provided by our affiliates. A patient's medical records should never be used to punish someone for obtaining an abortion, a right that is explicitly protected under our state laws. AB 2091 establishes safeguards in the law to protect the medical records of abortion patients to ensure that this information is not used as evidence in an out-of-state case to penalize a patient who seeks care in our state, and would similarly protect those who provide abortions or assist patients to access abortion care in California. We thank this committee and to Assemblymember Bonta for carrying this important bill so that those who seek the abortion care in our state can be assured of confidentiality in their medical records.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, we'll now move on to additional witnesses in support of this bill here in 1200. So AIDS again, AB 2091. Welcome.
Chair and members, I'm Erin Evans on behalf of NARAL Pro-Choice California and the California Nurse Midwives Association, both in support.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, Genesis Gonzalez on behalf of Lieutenant Governor Lenny Kounalakis in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Ryan Spencer on behalf of the American College of OBGYNs, District 9, in support.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Onyemo Biekia with Black Women for Wellness Action Project and strong support.
Thank you. All right, seeing no one here in the room, 200, let's now move on to the teleconference line. Moderator, please open the lines for witnesses who wish to testify in support of AB 2091.
For those who wish to speak in support, please press 1 then 0. Going to go to line 128.
Catherine Wally, resident of Walnut Creek, in support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 131. Pardon me, just a moment. Line 131. And again, I apologize, just a moment here. Line 141.
Hi, Myra Duran calling. Hi there, Myra Duran. Calling on behalf of the If When How Lawyering for Roots of Justice in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 142. Line 142, your line is now open. Line 230.
Good afternoon. Rebecca Gonzalez with the National Association of Social Workers California Chapter in support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 246. Line 246, your line is now open. Line 276. Pardon me, line 246, you can join the queue again by pressing 1 then 0. We're going to move on to line 276.
Good afternoon. Danny Kando-Kaiser on behalf of the Electronic Frontier Foundation in support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 277. And again, we apologize for the delay. Just a moment. Line 277, your line is now open.
Tommy Martin on behalf of Equality California, proud co-sponsor of the bill and strong support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 297.
Good afternoon. Curtis Lang with the California Nurses Association in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 142.
Good afternoon. Janice Stanford on behalf of Attorney General Rob Bonta in support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Mr. Chair, we have somebody else who's just signaled that they wish to speak. Just a moment. And just another moment, please. Line 142. Pardon me, I apologize. We're going to go to line 307.
Hello, Sarah Huffman with the University of California in support.
Thank you. Next witness.
Mr. Chair, there is no one else that signaled they wish to speak.
Thank you, Moderator. We'll now move on to witnesses in opposition. We have Susan Arnall from the Right to Life League. You have 2 minutes.
My name is Susan Swift Arnall. I'm an attorney and vice president of legal affairs at the Right to Life League, America's first pro-life organization. AB 2091 blatantly violates the full faith and credit clause of the U.S. Constitution, cherry-picking which out-of-state subpoenas California will recognize. The full faith and credit clause ensures other states recognize valid court orders like child custody, restraining orders, subpoenas, or other legal proceedings. Section 5B of AB 2091 violates the U.S. Constitution by forbidding issuance of a California subpoena if the out-of-state action, quote, relates to a foreign penal civil action concerning abortion. This is a ridiculous attempt to skirt the full faith and credit clause. Somehow, the bill analysis does not explain how, but somehow a lawful subpoena demanding records for use in a foreign court could be ignored by California law. The bill analysis argues that there may be a penal exception to justify doing so, and yet in the very same paragraph, the bill analysis admits that the Supreme Court has never upheld a penal exception, not even one, not since 1892. Not even in the very case cited by the bill analysis. AB 2091 is an attempt to brush aside well-established constitutional requirements and replace them with a legal fantasy, a theoretical exception that has never existed but could possibly exist in Supreme Court jurisprudence. In its commitment to protect the abortion industry at all costs, AB 2091 disregards the clear provisions of the full faith and credit clause. If anything, the bill analysis makes it clear that the bill will be absolutely struck down after very expensive litigation at the taxpayer's expense. Just because you don't like another state's laws doesn't mean that you can avoid or ignore them. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go have additional witnesses in opposition. Name, organization, position only. Welcome.
Max Graves, Liberty Baptist Church, Liberty Life Center, End Abortion, California. Strongly opposed. Abortion is murder.
Thank you. Next. Welcome.
To show my honor and respect for the quantum community,
Name, organization.
I am here with love, peace, friendship,
name,
neutrality.
Organization, and position.
Has anyone else paid the fee for the freight like I have to be in this port?
I need your name.
Okay, my name for this special court, martial court of this claim.
I don't think that's your official name, sir.
Postmaster.
Thank you.
I'm stating my name, sir.
Thank you.
My name, sir. I'm stating my name.
Show your ID.
Do you have an ID to show that name?
Federal Postal Witness.
Postmaster.
Sorry, sir. We have other witnesses.
Clerk of the court.
You can submit your testimony in writing.
I can say my name. You can't tell me my name.
You expect your name or name position. If you have proof of your name, and I'm in error, please provide that proof to the sergeants. If you have an ID that reflects that name, please show that to the sergeants. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
To be in this port.
Next witness, please.
I'm the highest ranking federal judge in this building.
Next witness, please.
Then I am the chief federal judge of this building.
Welcome.
Liberty Life Center, Liberty Baptist Academy, Leslie Graves. I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, Catherine McBride, Destiny Christian Church, in strong opposition of this unfair bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Max Graves, pastor, Liberty Baptist Church of Norwalk, California, also director of End Abortion, California. Strongly oppose this iniquitous bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Alexia Jasper with Liberty Life Center. I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Joy Jasper with Pacific Baptist School in opposition.
Thank you. Welcome.
Ella Graves with Liberty Baptist Academy, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Welcome. Erin Jasper. I'm with the Liberty Baptist Church, Liberty Baptist Academy, as well as the Jasper Preparatory Academy, and I vehemently oppose this.
Thank you. Welcome.
Pastor James Cook, Lighthouse Baptist Church, Concord, California. Also represent Project Truth. Also represent all decent fathers of California, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
My name is Kendall. I represent Lighthouse Baptist Church and Project Truth, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Brandon Campbell, Northern California organizer for California Capital Connection for Independent Baptist Churches and pastor of the Faith Baptist Church in Wheatland. Strong opposition to this.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Kaylee Campbell with the Faith Baptist Church, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Christine Campbell, Faith Baptist Church, Wheatland, California. Strong opposition.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, Gabrielle Ingram, founder of Stand Up Sacramento County. We are in opposition to this bill.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, Kasia Williams, Ladies of Liberty, California, in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Greg Burt from the California Family Council in opposition.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Jonathan Keller from the California Southern Baptist Convention, opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approaching the microphone, moderator, please open the lines for witnesses who wish to testify in opposition to AB 2091, name, organization, position only.
Thank you. For those who wish to speak in opposition, please press 1 then 0. We're going to go to line 107. Pardon me, just a moment. Line 118.
Margaret Corona, registered nurse for 25 years in emergency room services in Los Angeles, and I oppose this bill.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Line 153.
Again, please.
Your line is open.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Terry Jacobian, on behalf of Rock Harbor Church, Bakersfield, Calvary, Visalia, Exeter, Porterville, and Tulare County residents, Parents Against Baby Murder, we violently oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 163.
Hi, Noemi. I'm with Gladstone San Diego chapter, and we oppose this bill.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 194.
Marisa Tusa, Colfax, California, member of Destiny Christian Church, grandmother of 8. I strongly oppose this infanticide bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Line 201.
Yes, hi. It's Sandy Marquez again from Placer County. I ask that you oppose this bill for representing us.
Thank you.
Line 204. Line 204, your line is open.
Kathleen Thomas. Kathleen Thomas, current Citizens for Freedom, and I strongly oppose.
All right, thank you.
Line
Next
233. 233, your line is open. Going to move on to line 245. Line 245, yes, your line is open, sir.
Thank you. My name is Robert Bird. I'm a lifelong resident of Senate District 11, and I strongly urge you to vote no on this bill.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 261.
Hi, my name is Terry Williams from San Diego, California, and I urge you to oppose this bill.
Thank you. Thank you. Next witness.
Line 267. Line 267, your line is now open. Line 107. Line 107, your line is open. We're going to move on to line 270. 270, your line is open.
Hi, this is Deborah Hearing from Placer County and strong opposition.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 282. Line 284. Line 284, your line is now open. We're going to move on to line 292.
Good afternoon, Kenneth Prado from Riverside County, ambassador for Lexit and co-founder of Fathers of Fortitude, and strongly oppose this bill.
All right, thank you. Next witness.
Line 295.
Hello, Heather Keller, Sacramento County. I strongly oppose this bill. We don't need another bill.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 298.
Hi, Kim Scott with Placer County, representing all women, and strongly opposing this unconstitutional.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 302.
Hi, I'm calling as a longtime Democrat who has had
name.
2 abortions.
Thank you.
Line 307.
Yes. Teresa Brennan, President and Executive Director of the Right to Life League, in strong opposition.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 308.
Penny Harrington from San Diego County, in strong opposition.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 310.
Hi, this is Renee Nielsen from Stand Up Sacramento. I strongly oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 311.
Hello, this is Dina Martin calling from LA County with Holy Family Catholic Church in Artesia. I strongly oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 312.
Hello, my name is Christian Lopez from San Bernardino County. Strong opposition.
Thank you. Next witness.
Line 302.
You need to let the people
Thank you.
speak.
Next witness.
You need.
Next witness. Thank you.
Line 282. Your line is open, line 282. Going to go to line 107.
Yes, this is Roger Hall, Placer County, Destiny Christian Church, and I strongly oppose this demonic bill.
Thank you. Thank you.
2091.
Next witness.
Mr. Chair, there is no one else.
All right. Thank you. We'll bring this back to the committee. Questions or comments from committee members? Senator Melendez.
I just have something very briefly. In addition to the comments that were made that this violates our obligation to honor subpoenas and court orders from other states, I don't know of any other law in California that we say we're going to turn a blind eye to other than this one. But the other issue for me is that I think this bill is going to shield human traffickers from the law, because if you have someone who's trafficking a young girl in one state and forcing her to get an abortion or taking her to get an abortion in a way, that doesn't comport with their laws, and they can abscond to California and evade the law. That's what I'm seeing in this bill. So for those two reasons, I will oppose. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Okay. Seeing none, Senator Bonta, thank you for bringing this bill. I would make note that this bill was heard in the Judiciary Committee, where those particular legal issues were addressed. This is the Health Committee, so I would make note as a physician myself that it is unfortunate that basically the Supreme Court has created a situation which I think in one news report compared it to what was happening prior to the Civil War with slavery, and you think about that and the horrific history of slavery and the fact that we had states that would then try to pursue people who were trying to escape the freedom into other states that would give them that freedom, and that there were actually steps that they need to take to try to prevent that from happening. And unfortunately, this does seem like we're starting to echo that horrible history in our country. And so it is important that people who are providing health care in good faith here in this state are not subject to prosecution from other states for doing what is perfectly both legal but also the standard of care. And also we need to be sure that people who are seeking care are protected as well. And so unfortunately the Supreme Court has created a situation where that has become less certain, and I think your bill is an important step to address that issue. So with that, would you like to close?
Thank you, Chair, and I appreciate the comments, because when 14-year-old from another state who experiences incest or rape absconds from another state and comes to the state of California, they should absolutely have the right to be able to have their medical records provided. I appreciate the comments as well regarding the need to ensure that this has already been kind of discussed in the Judiciary Committee. I will say, in order to be able to address the full faith and credit clause, that generally requires the states to honor the judgment and actions of other states. AB 2091 would implement protections to ensure that compliance with out-of-state subpoenas would not violate the California Reproductive Privacy Act. Subpoenas are issued as part of the process of gathering testimony or other evidence for a legal case. A final judgment is a document issued at the end of a case containing a court's ruling on the merits of that case, and that is the application that is appropriate for the full faith and credit law. With that, we know that AB 2091 is a necessary bill needed to combat the wave of abortion restrictions being enacted across the country. This bill protects every person's fundamental right to make reproductive health decisions and to have their medical privacy protected. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Bonta. Is there a motion? Bill? Okay, moved by Senator Leyva. Okay, the motion is to pass and refer to Committee on Appropriations. Been moved by Senator Leyva. Secretary, please call roll.
Pan?
Aye.
Pan, aye. Melendez?
No.
Melendez, no. Eggman? Gonzalez? Grove? Hurtado? Leyva? Leyva, aye. Limon? Roth? Roth, aye. Rubio? Wiener?
Okay, that bill is currently 3-1. We're waiting for absent members, so we'll put the bill on call.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Okay, so we are going in foul order, so that means Senator Friedman, I see you are here. I'm trying to track everybody, so I think you are next in the foul order, and so we're going to be doing item number 18, AB 2024.